to me, it was a breakthrough moment, but also a sad moment. I'm like, so what are we doing in education where these kids
Mhm.
are building up so many walls that they don't learn knowledge itself?
Welcome back to Teacher Tales, where we give you the keys to overcoming teacher burnout to find work life balance and educational bliss if it still exists. I'm your host, Tony Rambles, and on this episode of Teacher Tales, we learn that creative expression boosts self awareness, emotional intelligence is crucial to student success, and self expression leads to growth. Let's foster emotional intelligence and promote personal growth together. It's one of my staples. I feel like they should be doing more work than we are.
Mm-hmm.
I should be able to get in there, hit it 10 minutes, because our classes are 40, 50-ish minutes,
Right.
give or take. So I'm in there, I'm hit it 10 minutes, and then I'm going to pull back and I'm going to go, all right, what y'all looking at me for? Like, I already told you what to do.
Right.
And from there, it's more like, let me cycle around the classroom. Let me ask about what you're doing. What are your ideas? And they ask me questions. I had one person come up to me, and I teach high school, 9th grade through 12th grade.
Okay, dope.
And this girl came up to me, and she was like, now, Mr. Franklin, before I ask you this question, like, please, like, just don't do all that extra stuff you be doing. I said, what you mean? And she said, you never answer with a straight answer. You always doing the most. I said, well, I just want to help you think for yourself. And so, like, they know that when they come to me for answers, I'm usually, more often than not, I'm not going to give it to them, but I'm going to ask them the question to then help them to find the answer themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing with my lessons. I'm going to give you a template, but more often than not, I want to see what y'all come up with, because it may be way better or more impactful than what I'm trying to make you do. So that's what it sounds like you're trying to do in the classroom. So
Yeah.
if you can,
Yeah,
give us
thank you.
a success story of one of your kids kind of coming in the classroom like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
And then like maybe there's a progression and they get it, by the end.
Okay, I'll say this, and this is really a learning moment for me and for her. So, so one of my areas, because we're always gonna, as an educator, we're always gonna have some weakness in our emotional intelligence. My weakness in emotional intelligence is empathy. I don't really, and that's being able to put to somebody else in your shoes and that sort of thing. Because I'm like, nah, you got to, that Generation X thing is in me. Like, you do what I tell you to do, because, so I'm working on that.
Right.
So anyhow, I started giving them the prompts, and this young lady, she came up to me and she said, she had tears in her eyes, and she was like, Dr. Adolf, why do you have us doing these emotional prompts that make me think about all of this stuff? And then she said, oh my God, I just started doing it. And then she gave me a hug. And so for me, I am a person that don't like touch is not my love language. I absolutely hate it. I'm like, do not touch me, because my thing is, I don't know what the laws are in Georgia. I'm a black male teacher. I'm not trying to have, what happened to the brother with the braids. I'm not.
Yeah, like, hey, I'm trying to keep myself out of those situations.
So when she did that, it didn't allow me to let down my walls and just be like, she has never had anyone to ask her to really become an expert of herself. And to me, it was a breakthrough moment, but also a sad moment. I'm like, so what are we doing in education where these kids are building up so many walls that they don't learn knowledge itself? And my thing is, that's the greatest lesson that one can learn. Like, yeah, math and all of that. Don't get me wrong, all of those elements are important, but the most important thing is for one to truly learn who they are. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what they need. How do we teach them that? Because once you know who you are and what you stand for and the truth, then it's kind of the rest is like smooth sailing. Then, then you can, I think once you know you, then you're able to navigate yourself to
Mm-hmm.
purpose. And that's what I fully believe. So my success story is that young lady that cried and came to me. And of course, I've had many students to do that, but that one sticks out the most because I mean, for her to cry and say, why do you challenge me to think about myself? And,
Mm.
and it just let me know that, they have been taught to really what we have taught our kids is to become consumers, consume
Mm.
all of this knowledge and that sort of thing, but not producing. And she was like, "You're
Yeah.
asking me to produce from myself. You're asking me to what are my the deepest, darkest, and how do I use my truth to help move me in a direction?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm going to challenge you to heal. You're not going to walk around because you know what? One of the things I would say, Generation X, our generation was really taught to mask our pain. We were taught to
Mm.
self-medicate. We were taught to say it's not anything wrong. Throw some dirt on it, that sort of thing. But we haven't been taught to like feel, and feeling is
Mm.
really a process of healing and knowing that when no matter what narrative someone writes about you, you know who you are at the end of the day.
Right.
So, so that was my biggest moment right there with that skill.
Mm. So I love all of the creative stuff. I'm always tinkering, like, all right, how can we move this here, move that there? But we all have, as educators, some requirements,
Yes.
that we got to hit, some assessments that we have to do. So, how do you balance that creative part, that social, emotional learning part with the assessments and maybe some standardized testing and those kind of things? How do you balance that as an educator?
Well, first and foremost, one of the things that I would say I learned a lot of lessons from this doctor by the name of Chris Emden, and he has a book called Ratchetdemics. For the most part, and the name is like, how do we balance our ratchet self with our academic self and blend those together?
That's what I was thinking.
So Ratchetdemics and that sort of thing. But my thing is this: the creative educator, the one that's truly
Hmm.
revolutionary and that can they will always be able to meet assessments and that sort of thing. You know why? Because we had to learn through that emotional violence that come with our education to become educators. We've already got that down to the core. It's really bland. I would say what makes revolutionary educators a threat is the fact that we can meet your assessments and still be a dope teacher.
We can do
So
both.
we could do both. So if, for instance, if we're talking about standardized tests, like I know for English we had to do figurative language. What's more figurative language than hip
Hmm.
hop? What's more figurative when you talk about metaphor? What about alliteration? So you could talk about alliteration. You could talk about iambic pentameter. All of those different sort of things are all in that haikus,
Hmm.
everything that you need. And then what's so dope? Then you could start looking back and say, well, dang, Shakespeare was kind of like the hip hop of his time period because while we look at them and put them on a high pedestal, he was
Hmm.
speaking to the general public of his time period. So he would have been a dope MC himself because that when he was talking about stories about the king and the queen and love and and then he had Othello and then Othello is falling out with Becky and and then
Yep.
you got the hater Iago on the side egging them on in that sort of thing. And to be or not to be, it's basically
That is
Fast
the question.
forward now is F around and find out, you know, this sort of thing. So I don't, when people are saying like the standard, the standard is really the fact that the standard is not really the standard. What it is how do we uphold the monastery, uh, Western, in many cases, white supremacist way of making sure that we uphold the one size fits all model. When in actuality,
Mm,
we know it's so funny because when we do the learning pyramid, the way schools are taught, they teach to the 5%. And that top 5% is going to learn solely by lecture. But we know that the majority of our students learn through actually teaching themselves and hands-on experience. Hip hop is all
mm,
about how do we about you can learn on your own and that sort of thing, and it's also very hands-on. You can do all of those things, and I think we need to flip that pyramid around. But we know that it's an interest to keep that pyramid up because we know what percent of kids they want to lead. So
mm.
that's one of the things that I would say I'm all about reversing the learning pyramid.
Fellow educator, have you reversed the learning pyramid or are you still the sage on the stage? Please share your experiences with us on the Teacher Triumphs Facebook group where we beat burnout together.
And I think if you're a revolutionary and creative teacher, there is no way that you should still miss your assessment. Just who's to say how you teach? Just teach. But we got to get out of the habit of letting the district just say, no, you have to teach in that way. No, because all kids are not going to learn in that way. So I would say I always try to tell my people it's a method to my madness. So it's not going to be orthodox. I'm sorry.
Mm. Do you ever incorporate, I guess, other types of music? Because, not everybody is, hip hop heads and, listen to that kind of stuff. So how do you then kind of take those other interests of people that may not look like us or don't listen to what we listen to?
Okay.
How do you kind of blend that up?
Well, you know what? I always say this. Now, here's the cool thing. Hip hop, for me, I really deal a lot with helping students to heal from traumas that's preventing them
Mm-hmm.
for academic success. So, for the most part, hip hop works. However, make no mistake about it. Before hip hop, there was blues that
The
talk
blues,
about.
baby.
You could talk about jazz. The more I get into listening to country music talks about their pain. My thing is this: any song or genre of music that's going to tell a story about the human struggle,
Mm-hmm.
that can be used. So it doesn't necessarily, that's my flavor has been hip hop therapeutic writing, but it's certainly not anyone that's stopping somebody to say rock therapeutic writing or country music therapeutic writing. And I always tell students, bring, hip hop is what I mainly do. But certainly, if you have a country song or a pop song, and I've actually had uh, I think the one experience that I had a student that put me on to this Kelly Clarkson song. I forgot the title of
Oh
it.
my goodness.
And she
I
talked
was
about her
literally
dad.
had Kelly Clarkson in my head.
Yeah. I think it's called Because of You. I think that's the name of the song. And she's talking about her father.
Because of you, I'll
Yeah.
never stand. Yeah.
I listen to that and I'm a big lyrics guy because that's the thing that hip hop
Mm-hmm.
does too. And when I listen to it, I say, oh, this
Yeah.
right here, she may not have grown up in the inner city projects like I did, but this is hip hop. I was like, this is pure pain being told. And then when I listened to Adele's song, like, I will always love you, when she said,
Man.
you make me feel like I am clean again. I'm like, whoa. And it's
Yep.
like, to me, hip hop is what the jazz musician Thelonious Monk said. He said it's about
Mm.
ugly beauty. And I always listen to songs that have that ugly beauty because it's those two, it's that duality that really makes who we are as human beings. So I'm a believer in that. So yeah, it doesn't have to be hip hop. It's my flavor, but certainly it's some deep country songs. It's some I just try to look at stuff that if it passed my test of the ugly beauty, I try to use that because I think people are more complex, you know. So ugly beauty allows you to play in that gray area. And that's the way I like to.
Man, you said Kelly Clarkson. I had like 3 Kelly Clarkson songs in my head because she's got this album Breakaway. If you never listened to the Kelly Clarkson Breakaway album, I'm telling you, it's insane. And then Adele is definitely one of my favorites. You want to talk about pain in music? That's all she sing about. Like she don't have no happy songs.
Right.
The whole thing is difficult.
You know what? It's like this comedian said, I don't like Happy Mary. I like Mary that was sad, Mary J. Blige that was going through problems with KC. I like that Mary. I learned a lot from that Mary. I don't know about Happy Mary.
And anybody who listened to Mary J. know exactly what you're talking about. Because there was a point, okay, you know what? Here we go. We're getting, okay, I now have a, if somebody, what advice would you give to other educators who are interested in adopting the hip hop writing approach in their classrooms? Of course, number one is go to the website and get the stuff.
Go to Dance Site for Edutainment. But other than that, I would say, you know what? Couple of things. I would say, read the book Ratchetdemic. I think that one by Chris Emdin is a very powerful text. And it's really about how does one hold their cultural authenticity and bring all of who they are into the classroom. So that's one. I always believe in a growth mindset. So I would say Lisa Nichols, Abundance Now. She talks about that because many of our students have had a scarcity mindset. And quite frankly, we as academics and educators have had that ingrained in us. So I would do that. This latest text that I'm reading is Positive Intelligence. Oh my God, it talks about the way that we sabotage ourselves. And last but not least, for anybody that's really an educator, I would probably say, get to mental health that you need to find out your true authenticity, because mental health is wealth. And lastly, I know I said that was the last one, but this is the real last one. I have all of my students to do a test called the 16 Personalities Test by Myers-Briggs. It's so informative because it lets you know what your kid's personality is, strengths and weaknesses, but also it lets you know their work habits and their skills. And once you know who your students are, then you're able to really connect with them on a real deeper level. So I would probably say if you could do those things, again, Ratchetdemic, Abundance Now, Positive Intelligence, getting mental health, and the 16 Personality Test, I think you're on your way to being a good teacher. That's what I think.
Okay, I got 2 more things.
Okay, cool.
What are some musical suggestions that you would, if we was making a list of say like 3 to 5 that you would suggest, okay, if you're a teacher, you kind of want to do this, what are 3 to 5 choices you would ask or tell them to use?
Okay. If you want to know about, if you want to teach students how to deal with conflict resolution, a big part of that is really anticipating what the other opponent is going to say. And so the biggest one that I would say is use Eminem's 8 Mile, the last battle between Eminem and Papa Doc. That really kind of shows what you can do for conflict resolution and how do you anticipate your opponent's argument. That's one. I would probably say in schools, students sometimes get teased for using, quote unquote, the proper language and that sort of thing. So I would probably
Mm-hmm.
say, look at Lupe Fiasco, Dumb It Down, where he talks about those two elements in there. Um, I would probably say if you want to talk about like the importance of fatherhood, I always think of an MC named Don Tripp. He has this song called "Letter to My Son," and he really talks
Mm-hmm.
about fatherhood from three different perspectives. One as a drug dealer, but also one as a student who is in school trying to do the right thing to see his child. And then the other one is just a father that's been estranged from his son. And how do you deal with that? So it's my thing is no matter what the situation is, whether it be anything from misogyny on down, hip hop talks about it. So you will be, I don't think it's not one topic that you can have that hip hop doesn't talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't all have to be, and I would say to all educators, they don't all have to be famous MCs because it's a lot of underground artists that drop knowledge as well. So
The underground people drop more knowledge than
yes,
the mainstream people.
yes,
So,
yes.
um, you got my two favorite rappers of all time in there, Lupe Fiasco
Oh,
and
yeah.
Eminem.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we could just end it now. Last question.
Okay.
What legacy do you hope to leave behind in the field of education through your work with the hip hop writing, what you do in education and your different style, being a rebel educator? What legacy do you hope to leave behind in your own words?
I think the legacy that I hope to leave behind is we need to teach children how to unlearn before we teach them to learn. So I
Mm,
want a legacy of unlearning all the narratives that have been thrusted upon you and really learn. I want to leave a legacy of students learning that they have the power of the pen to author their own legacy. So it's not about what other people say, it's about you finding your own truth. So that's what I want to do. Unlearning to learn. That's what I would say, what I want my legacy to be.
wow. Dr. JL. We could probably talk for at least another 2 hours just about education and hip hop and all of that stuff, man. I'm grateful, thankful that you came on the show. Um, Go ahead and plug your stuff one more time before we get out of here.
All right. So first, before I plug my stuff, man, if you're an educator or even if you are a parent out there or a student, if you're not listening to Teacher Tales by this man here, Brother Franklin, that's dropping the science, what are y'all doing? I mean, why are y'all playing around? Click and subscribe and share. This man is trying to give y'all free game. I don't know about y'all. I like free stuff. So he is giving you free game. Come and check out the Teacher's Tales on a regular basis. Now, if you want to help your students with hip hop therapeutic writing, you want to boost their social emotional intelligence to go into career readiness, all you do is hit me up on all forms of social media at Dad Cypher, DADCYPHER, or Dad Cypher Edutainment. It's there. I always plug that anywhere. Or if you're in the A and happen to want to stop by Georgia State University in the Decatur, where it's Greater Campus, so look up your boy. I am there as well. So click and subscribe to Teacher's Tales because he's letting you into what's going on in the teacher's lounge.
Boom. That is our episode for today. I am grateful that Dr. JL took some time out of his day to be able to have that conversation with me. And I broke it up into 2 parts. So if you didn't listen to part 1, make sure you go back to the previous episode and check that out. I thought there was so much there that I wanted to be able to share our entire conversation with you all. So, of course, I'll have someone on next week, Monday and Thursday, to talk more about education in the different perspectives that we all have. But before we get out of here, remember, music can serve as a therapeutic tool for emotional expression and growth. I think that we all have something that we can bring to the classroom to create this environment where we all can be creative and share and grow together. Discovering these different techniques is only going to help your students to be better, as well as yourself. Understanding the benefits of fostering emotional intelligence is of the utmost importance. For more teacher tips on burnout and time management, join our Teacher Triumphs Facebook group. That is where we share applicable strategies and our experiences and encourage each other on the journey through education. Until next time, keep teaching, keep learning, and I will see you all on the next journey.